Hello, fellow web slingers. We are recording a special episode today with Comics with Friends, and that is our 1 year of posting videos, and this is our 1 year fucking episode. This is great. So we're just a couple buds that like to read comic books, talk about what we like, what we don't like, and try and be funny and entertaining along the way. And I am, of course, joined by my one and only true love, my buddy, Ethan. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. So today, on our 1 year, because we've covered Superman, we've covered Batman, we've covered Hulk and Deadpool and all these other different DC and Marvel heroes, but we have yet to cover anything from my favorite superhero, and that is Spider-Man. So today we are covering Superior Spider-Man. While technically this is kind of part of the mainline run, it's also not.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because it spins off from the Amazing Spider-Man around like the issue 700 area and stuff like that. It's been a minute since I've read Amazing Spider-Man. But yeah, we're covering Superior Spider-Man because I think it's a really interesting moment in Spider-Man's history that is somewhat recent. And I know from what I remember, a lot of people did like this version of Spider-Man a lot. I have my thoughts on it.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of history or anything because I didn't do my research. I was just like,
oh, it's fine. I only do the history thing because I like doing it.
Yeah, I say fuck it, we ball. And this is written by Dan Slott, and the art is done, I believe, by Ryan Stegman.
Yeah, for the first 3 issues.
Yeah, and then it switches artists. So I guess we should go ahead and just do like overall thoughts.
Okay.
What is your overall thoughts for this?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
That's my legit, like, I didn't think it was thought-provoking. I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think it definitely had me interested because, fun fact, I do like Spider-Man, but I'm not, like, a mega fan. I think he's cool. If I am asked to read a Spider-Man story for this podcast, I'm not going to say no.
Right.
But normally I'm the one that tells people what they're reading.
Yeah. You tell me what we're reading.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was really interesting seeing a different type of Spider-Man. I think, at least for the first 3 issues, I think the art really carries this story. Ryan Stegman is a fantastic artist. And then the gentleman that takes over art in the last couple issues, I still think is really good.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I have to say is I really like the Spider-Man suit design in this.
Yeah.
Even though it's just the normal Spider-Man suit, but with black instead and the eyes.
Yeah, instead of blue.
Yeah.
This version of Spider-Man, this suit, is also one of my favorite versions of his suit. So my overall thoughts is I do like this story, but from my experience, and again, I haven't read the mainline Amazing Spider-Man run in a long time. I read all the way up until like, you had like Parker Industries and stuff like that.
I think that's a little bit after this.
Yeah. And so it's been a long time since I've read it. So I'm definitely a bit fuzzy on things. So if I get things wrong, pardon me. I do not claim to be like a mega fan. I do love Spider-Man a lot. He is my favorite superhero. But to me, while this is a good story, I think it is also an underline of the fact that when it comes to writing Peter and Spider-Man, one, he's usually done pretty dirty.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, like, for whatever reason, it doesn't ever feel like Peter is the one advancing himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he kind of takes a back seat.
Well, it's a lot of, if I remember correctly, a lot of times like it's that cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that happens with all comic books. There's the cycle of like, you know, you start beginning, things happen, it gets started to be too much, and so they do something to revert it back to the beginning.
Oh, the status quo.
Yeah, the status quo. This, I think, was their attempt to move Peter and Spider-Man to a new status quo.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like it because it's not even really Peter doing it.
Yeah, I can understand that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, someone else had to move him
mm-hmm.
from his original status quo to this new status quo, which eventually leads to, because the whole, like, with Parker Industries and stuff, in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, once again, Peter gets done hella dirty all the time, and so I do like this story, but I think it is also just another representation of just people writing Spider-Man. I don't want to say wrong, but while Spider-Man can be a tragic hero, I think they forget that he's also supposed to be like a uplifting,
he's hopeful
superhero. And I get, in order to be uplifting and hopeful, there has to be like some tragedy to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of tragedy that Spider-Man has gone through and stuff, it's kind of like, dude, like,
give this dude
a break, please. I beg you. Like,
that's kind of always been my biggest issue with Spider-Man as a character. I think he's cool. I think his rogues gallery is
one of the best.
I would say it's almost as iconic as Batman's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I think of superhero like rogues galleries, it's like Batman, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's just, I believe Marvel has this really big issue of Spider-Man was really popular with kids when he was introduced because he himself is a kid.
Yeah.
When he's introduced. So he can't change much because we need kids to still like him.
Yeah, but then they're also trying to tell very adult, like, stories
with a 30-year-old man.
Yeah,
because he is in his 30s now.
Yeah. Yeah, like, just Spider-Man, I think, is and one thing, hopefully eventually we can cover it, the new Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, I think, is a step in a really good direction.
Yeah,
with the character.
I will say, because fun fact, I let Mason pick our episode.
Yes.
For our 1 year. I'm quite surprised you didn't pick Ultimate Spider-Man, the new Ultimate Spider-Man.
I want this is gonna sound kind of, I want a little more like story of it to know, like, okay, I can really endorse this. You know,
okay,
like, I'm waiting for, like, maybe this is a pessimistic.
You're waiting for the shoe to drop.
I'm waiting for the shoe to drop because it's too fucking good.
Yeah.
To be like, this is the best, like, Spider-Man story we've had in a hot minute.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the shoe to drop.
It's because it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
The story is a huge slow burn story. Not that that's a bad thing.
No.
It's really good.
And like I said, I think it's very much a good step, like, in the right direction for Spider-Man as a character.
Well, it's crazy because when that book was coming out, like, I don't know how it's doing right now. Obviously, it's still the most popular Ultimate series book, and it's selling really well, and people love it still. But for a while, it was outselling Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So,
and I think one of the main reasons why Amazing Spider-Man has so much issue is because there is a lot of history with the Amazing Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're at, like, issue probably 800 at this point. Like, up there.
Yeah.
And from what I've read of, like, DC and stuff, while, yes, you have a lot of events and things, there's always some semblance of, like, the baggage that comes with the character after a long time of being written about gets either condensed or, like, not removed, but, like, it seems not as full of baggage, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, DC has their crises, you know, whenever they need to do a palate cleanser, when they feel as though they've written themselves into a story. I will say crises kind of do more harm than good because it fucks with continuity in a way to where like people don't understand what is and isn't canon at this point. So like, yes, it can get new people into the characters, but it's
I guess
it's a very complicated situation.
I guess maybe that's what I'm trying to say is there is no palate cleanser for Spider-Man.
There's no palate cleanser for any superhero.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, the level of just building on top of each other for Spider-Man is just insane, because it is literally, because they want to write him in such a tragic way, it is literally just one thing after the other. It does not stop. The moment something awful happens and he overcomes it, another awful thing happens to him. And it kind of just bogs you down on the character, because you're just like, this is almost a miserable reading experience because I know something awful is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And while, yes, in comics, awful things happen to heroes and they overcome it, Spider-Man's happy endings are like never truly happy. Yeah. It's always like bittersweet.
Yeah, like even Batman gets happy like endings to his stories.
Yeah, and I think I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like there's no actual feeling of like victory with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just like you're getting to like issue 800 of that shit. There's no like that's why people I think are like, just give Spider-Man a fucking break, dude, because like I said, every victory doesn't even feel like a victory. It just feels like, because even if he does win, he loses at something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at fucking with Mephisto and all that shit. That's one thing I fucking hate that. Like technically, yeah, he fixes his problems, but then he just has another problem.
Yeah, it just makes more problems for him.
And it's just a continuation and cycle of that shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, at this point in Amazing Spider-Man, again, I'm super fuzzy on this. When you get into Superior Spider-Man, stuff happens. Doc Ock is like super old and like dying.
Yeah, I believe he's dying of like a degenerative disease.
Yes. And he ends up able to swap consciousnesses with Peter and himself. So Peter goes into, it's a Freaky Friday situation.
Yeah.
But when they switch, Doc Ock's body with Peter's mind dies.
Yeah.
And so they're like, Peter is no more. Peter Parker is dead. Now you have the new Spider-Man with Doc Ock's mind and everything like that. And I can't remember correctly. I think that was definitely when it came out. A lot of people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, because they hadn't really done anything like that. I guess the closest you could get was like maybe Clone Saga.
Yeah.
Where they reveal that Spider-Man is the clone. They're like the Spider-Man we've been following the whole time
is a clone. Yeah. Which Clone Saga is a whole other bucket story.
We'll get to it.
Oh my God.
We'll get to it.
But yeah, so like, and then that's when they go from the Amazing Spider-Man, and then you have this Superior Spider-Man, which is still part of the Amazing Spider-Man like continuity and stuff, but it's not part of the mainline Amazing Spider-Man stuff. It's its own run, and it's weird.
Yeah.
And but it's still good. It's still a good story because you do get like a lot of good stuff with the interactions between, this is kind of spoilers before getting into it, with Peter and Ock residing in the same body.
Yes.
You do get a lot of good like kind of moral questions and stuff like that, like this villain is in a hero's body and he's supposedly turned over a new leaf,
but he still does the same things.
And we'll get into it, but let's go ahead and get into issue 1 for this, and the listeners will see what we're saying.
Yeah.
So we start off right out the gate. This is after Doc Ock and Peter have switched minds, and Doc Ock's body has died with Peter's mind in it. we start off with the new Peter Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we're gonna label this because it's
let's just say Doc Ock.
Yeah. He is visiting himself, his own grave.
Yeah.
And is basically like, farewell to the old me. From now on, I am Peter Parker.
He's very much like an emo kid. Like, the old me is dead.
So the thing is when Doc Ock took over Peter's body and Spider-Man's body, is he also retained all of Spider-Man's memories.
Yeah. So he knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yes. And he knows why Peter became Spider-Man and why his mantra was, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. And Doc Ock genuinely is like, I will become, like, he understands the mission statement and is like, I will become an even better hero than Peter ever was. And that's a big theme throughout this as well. That's why it's called Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so we go to, there's this downtown like battle happening with the new Sinister Six. They're trying to steal this thing called the barometric oscillator. It's basically a giant storm generator.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And Superior Spider-Man shows up and starts quickly dismantling the Sinister Six.
This is, and Doc Ock kind of says this, we're like, this is a pathetic version of the Sinister Six, where Doc Ock's like, when I was a part of the Sinister Six.
Yeah, he's like, back in my day,
you guys would not have been allowed in.
And he's like quickly dismantling them, because while as smart as Peter is, Doc Ock definitely is more intelligent than him.
Yeah.
And right out the gate, this is shown by how, like, he's
analyzing them.
He's analyzing and basically predicting what they're going to do before they do it.
Well, that's also, it shows a nice little contrast between Peter's Spider-Man and Otto's Spider-Man, because Peter, I always feel like he purposefully holds himself back. Obviously, physically, he has to, or else he'll fucking kill people.
Yeah.
But he also, like, mentally holds himself back because he tries to show the general populace that he is a person.
Yeah.
And that, like, he's not a cold, calculating monster. Yeah. And he's showing his villains, like, I'm not taking you seriously, so they don't know that he's scared. And also, so that way it kind of, like, does a mind fuck with them.
Yes.
Where it's like, he's not taking any of this seriously. While Doc Ock is just, like, he is cold, efficient. He knows the tactics to use, and he knows the most efficient way to use those tactics.
And he's got backup plan on backup plan on.
And he does that so much.
Yes. But as he's fighting the Sinister Six, one of the villains, Speed Demon, who's like the Flash, he's super fast. That's his whole. He's got super speed. He starts beating the shit out of Spider-Man, because he is faster than Spider-Man's spider sense. And Doc Ock, being cold and calculating, is like, I'm not risking my life fighting these guys, because now I'm at a disadvantage. And so he goes to just leave. And I forget, I think it's like Silver Boomerang or something like that.
Yeah.
He throws a boomerang and it's coming at Spider-Man. He dodges, but then it starts coming back around and is going to kill a police officer. And for whatever reason, he decides, he intervenes, saves the police officer, and takes the boomerang to the back, taking a lot of damage. And he starts getting choked out by Boomerang, and he comes around and, like, claws his chest.
When I saw that, I went, has Spider-Man always had claws? And just never uses
But
them?
the thing is because he holds his strength back, he could easily
do that
to someone with just his fingertips.
Yeah.
And even Boomerang is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, when did you start doing this shit? You know? And that's when they're like, hey, we need to get the fuck out of here. And so they all bail on their fucking General Grievous Star Wars ass one-wheeled thing.
It's the big wheel. I do know that. When I saw that, I went, oh, that's the big wheel from, like, the golden age of comics.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny.
And the police officer's like, oh, you saved me and everything. We all saw what you did back there. We're super grateful. And he's like, Doc Ock does try and play the part as Spider-Man and Peter and stuff like that. He's not great at it.
No, he's
like honestly, I'm surprised a lot more people aren't like, something strange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I was anyone who was in like Spider-Man's circle, I'd be like, that's not the same fucking guy.
To be fair, also, I think I did it to myself because the entire time I was reading it, because I'm reading in my head, obviously. I'm not reading out loud to myself.
Yeah.
In my head, every time Peter or Spider-Man talks,
I know what you're going to say.
He sounds like, this is me. I am Dr. Octavius. Like, you know, the super like nerdy voice.
Yeah.
So like that, to me in my head, I'm like, how is no one like
That's 100%. Because like every time I would read in my head, it's like, how do they not know it's not him?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like him.
Because I keep thinking of like the 90s version of like Doc Ock and how he spoke and everything like that. So I'm like, and so like, I'm just like, how is no one fucking realizing this guy's fucking different? But we then cut back to Horizon Labs, which is Peter's place of employment.
That's where he works.
And he ended up taking this robot that the Sinister Six had, this like super computer robot that they were using to steal this weather machine generator, storm generator, whatever.
It's a dumbass fucking thing that even Doc Ock is like, this is a dumb plan.
Yeah, this is like really tripe and like stupid, and he's like, you couldn't have thought of anything better. You're gonna destroy the city with a storm? Like, that's lame. Back in my day, he does that a lot. In my day,
yes, he does.
But he brings it back to Horizon Lab, and he basically makes this robot into like his butler and everything like that. And Max Modell, he is technically the owner, or he runs Horizon Labs and everything like that, and he is questioning Peter's new ethics and morals on what he's working on in the lab, because he's no longer like running projects past him, because he's supposed to run projects past him and everything like that. And he's also like, look, a lot of the materials and things you've been requesting are like stuff the FBI would be like on someone's doorstep for. Like, are you, like, I know you help Spider-Man. Are you making like bombs and weapons for Spider-Man? And Doc Ock's like, well, you know, the greatest inventions are made during wartime and everything like that.
Had he told me that, I wouldn't, and your ass is fired.
And I would have been like, you are not Peter Parker.
Oh, yeah. I would have been like, there's something wrong with you. What the fuck happened?
But, and all it took is like, look at this invention I made because of this. And Max is like, oh my gosh, this would be a breakthrough. Horizon Labs would make so much money on this shit. And immediately it's like, okay, these are revolutionary. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't even care. Just make us rich and famous.
Wow, good job, dude.
Yeah, like not a red flag raised anywhere, you would think. And Max says something where like people are gonna, you know, recognize you, Parker, and like basically Doc Ock gets like pissed off because he's like, yes, like all of my legacy from now on is going to be attributed to Parker and not Otto Octavius. But then he kind of has to like come to terms like, no. I am Parker now.
Yeah, he's like telling himself a lie.
Yeah, like I am Parker now. Like so I am being attributed to those things, even though my name has changed. And then MJ calls.
Oh yeah.
in the fucking cuckening of Peter Parker once again arises.
Yep.
She's getting like dressed up in this nice like skimpy black dress and everything like that, and they're basically gonna go have dinner. And at this point, MJ and Peter, for the millionth fucking time, are not really together. They're like broken up at this point.
They're dating.
They're like kind of testing the waters to see if they want to be together again. And one of the reasons why I roll my eyes is when she's like, are you good for dinner? It cuts to this panel of just this creepy smile on Peter's face. And he's like, absolutely, it's a date. And I'm like, geez.
Now, there's something in this. This is kind of not really an important like thing of note, but it was off-putting to me. He calls her Tiger.
Yes, which he never does.
I was going to say, that's not a thing. Like, I thought she called him
Yes.
Tiger.
Yes. And you're like,
it's weird. Like, I've never heard Peter call her that.
and the thing is like, the moment because he uses it often on her, and it's like, why is this not raising any red flags for you?
Yeah.
Now, granted, at some point she does goes like he seems like a different person, but still, like, you're not like, this is like, I know Peter Parker, like, very intimately. Why is this not like setting off alarms?
It's just, it was so odd to me because I've never, in any media, I've never heard Peter call MJ Tiger. MJ was her fucking nickname. For him.
Like, yeah, she would call him Tiger all the time. He would not say that to him.
I don't know. I found that odd.
Yeah, it is. It is odd because I think it's their way of going like, oh yeah, like, he's not acting like himself, but yet still no one registers that he's not acting like himself. Obviously, because this is a 34 issue run, so like they can't have the cat out of the bag right away. But still,
even though it definitely should be.
It should be with the way he's acting. But then we have them at dinner, and he's still like on that concept of like, I am Peter and everything.
Not really paying attention to her.
Not really paying attention to her talking. He's like, I am Peter Parker, and that's not such a bad thing at all. I have superpowers, youth, vigor, high-paying job, state-of-the-art lab, and then there's this lovely creature. And he's like just ogling the shit out of MJ.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, Parker's life will suit me just fine. And he's like, and the best part about it is the view. And he's just staring at MJ's chest. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, this is one of the thank God this does not last super long. It's only the first 2 issues this kind of dynamic thing really happens in.
Between him and MJ.
Him and MJ, because I think the writers were like, if we like really have something happen in between MJ and Peter while Otto is the brain, fans will riot.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that they realized that, because this could have been like a situation with fucking Gwen and Norman Osborn.
Hey, who knows? Maybe they'll still go that route, because we only read the first 5 issues of this run.
If I remember correctly, it doesn't happen, because I have read this before. It was just a long time ago. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen. Because I'm pretty sure she catches on before.
No, it's very quick. Yeah.
Eventually, like, she catches on and stuff like that. Yeah, so they're having this dinner, and again, he's acting like he's calling her like my dearest, and like just talking like he's from the 50s, you know. And she's like, why aren't you really paying attention? He's like, oh, I'm actually like watching the Sinister Six.
He's listening
in on them. When I scratched the Boomerang guy, I injected nanites into them, and I can hear everything they're saying. And she's like, so you're listening in on the Sinister Six, listening to their next plan, but you're not going to go stop them right now? And he's like, no, that'd be like a tactical disadvantage.
Yeah.
And again, she's like, obviously she's like, what?
That makes no fucking sense.
But at the same time, like, it's not enough for her to like be like, this is really fucking weird, you know. But the Sinister Six, they go and they attack Horizon Labs, because there is something in Horizon Labs that they're trying to steal. And again, Otto, being like the tactical genius, or the genius that he is, he's like set up a bunch of like different plans and traps and stuff, and he'll be like, activate plan Omega 3 and like press the spider symbol and something will happen. Like for Speed Demon, he like earlier coated down the floor with this anti-friction.
Yeah, it's a frictionless surface.
Yeah, so
substance.
He can't stop or anything, so he ends up going so fast, not being able to stop, and then Spider-Man just clotheslines the fuck out of him.
Going so fast that he goes into the multiverse.
Yes.
And meets up with the Flash.
Yeah. And he clotheslines him with web, and everyone's like, holy shit,
you could have killed him.
You could have killed him. You could have. And he's like, nah, he's just got a bruised trachea. He'll live as long as he's smart, and that means stay down.
Yeah.
And he just keeps doing this, and it's just to go. This issue is really just to show how like more
ruthless
and quote unquote superior he is as Spider-Man compared to when Peter was, of how he's taking down the Sinister Six, which normally when Peter fights the Sinister Six, he usually struggles, obviously, because he's like holding himself back and everything.
Yeah.
While technically, yes, this Spider-Man is holding himself back to a degree, because technically, if he really wanted to, he could probably punch someone's head off. You know, like Shocker, he could just like deck in the face and his head would go flying.
They do make a statement in this run that I find a little ridiculous. I think it's actually Doc Ock who says it himself, like while he's narrating or monologuing to himself, where he says that like, he talks about how strong Peter is, and he says these hands have gone blow for blow with the Hulk. And I'm like, no, they haven't. Spider-Man is not as strong as the Hulk, and don't even
while you're right, he technically can hold his own against the Hulk.
It's not.
But he is not as strong as the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, he can inflict damage to the Hulk, but it's not a lot. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not, he's not an equal to Hulk in strength.
But for the most part, these are normal people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, Shocker is just a dude with gauntlets that can like do shockwaves and shit. He could easily knock fucking Shocker's block off.
Oh yeah.
Like, easily. So he is technically holding himself back, but less so than Peter would.
Yeah.
He also calls the media because he's like getting press for himself.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. He ends up beating the absolute shit out of the Boomerang, Silver Boomerang, and is about to kill him when suddenly Force Ghost Peter Parker, well, it's his subconscious, but
it's a Force Ghost.
It's a Force Ghost. Essentially stays Otto's hand and keeps him. And even Otto's like, I was totally intent on like killing this guy, and I have no idea why I stopped. And you have now this duality of this Force Ghost Peter, and he will show up consistently throughout the story, basically being the
voice in the back of his head.
Yeah, and like slowly chipping away at Otto's psyche. And
because
like that.
There are moments where Otto can't explain why he does things that he ends up doing,
and the reasoning is because it's Peter.
It's him. It's Peter influencing him.
Yes, and that essentially sums up the first issue. A lot of it really is just showing off the comparison between old Peter Spider-Man and Otto Spider-Man. The second issue, which if you couldn't already tell by my tone of voice and demeanor of the dinner scene with MJ, you'll get my feelings on most of this issue. Because this is supposed to be the hey, this is Peter's everyday life in like as Otto instead of Peter, and how he handles it. And turns out Otto is just a pervy old man.
Oh yeah.
But it's also funny because like now also because of the way Spider-Man handled things, J. Jonah Jameson's like sucking his dick now.
Yeah,
like
and,
he's biggest fan.
And Force Ghost Peter is like you've got to be kidding.
Yeah, like literally Peter's having like an existential crisis throughout this whole issue of like, I cannot believe, like, granted, Otto is making his life better, but at the same time, it's like, how is it for years I could not get J. Jonah Jameson off my fucking dick about how I'm evil and everything, and Otto does it in like a day.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it's all supposed to be like, because he is superior, because he is now the better version of Spider-Man and stuff. And that a lot of this issue also is just Otto's influence on Peter's everyday life and everything like that. And then MJ is having a conversation with Carly, who is a investigator for the NYPD. I don't remember a whole lot of her story or her character because it's been so long since I've read the main line. But bottom line, Doc Ock, before they switched bodies, almost killed her and stuff like that. So she's kind of got like a vendetta. She is also the reason why Doc Ock's body died with Peter in it. She is one of the only people that interacted with Doc Ock with Peter's mind in it. Because when it'll show in these 5 issues, Doc Ock with Peter's mind in was like, I'm not Doc Ock, I'm Spider-Man.
It's me.
She's the only person to have heard any words come out of his mouth, and then he dies. Stuff like that. But MJ's talking to her. Spider-Man's on the news, like getting the fucking keys to the city or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, I think me and Peter might be getting back together. And Carly's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if, because again, I haven't read this. I don't know if Carly is also an ex of Spider-Man.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're just
I
friends.
can't remember. I think they're just friends because I don't think I could be wrong on this. Again, it's been forever. I don't think she knows that Peter is Spider-Man. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm very fuzzy on that. I do not think Carly is an ex either. I think they were just friends. But yeah, so she is like, I think me and Peter are getting back together. And then it cuts to her and Peter Otto having lunch together. And again, Otto's like, here is my opening gambit. I'm going to do this and this. Like he's
so
like
calculated.
Yeah, so calculating, trying to do like an equation or formula with hitting on MJ and stuff like that. And like to a degree, it like kind of works. At first, he's thrown off because he's getting the Peter luck. He sits down to have a date with MJ. Fire truck goes by. She's like, are you gonna get that? Shows him running out the alley. And he's like, this is so fucking inconvenient. And Peter's Force Ghost is like, welcome to my life, buddy.
Like, no fucking shit.
Fucking 800 issues of this bullshit, dude. But
he gets the idea to create the spider bots. I didn't know that's where these came from.
Yes, they are.
So that's kind of crazy because those are so like synonymous with Spider-Man.
Right. And that's what I mean by like the fact that Spider-Man's status quo and like base just gets pushed up like another level because of someone else. It's not even Peter. Like you're telling me as smart as Peter is, he never once thought
about spider bots
and stuff like that.
It's weird because it's like the argument I think people try to make, but also Peter tries to make it in this run is like, yeah, I'm super smart, but I don't use that super intelligence to like benefit me. I only use it to benefit others. And it's like, that's such a bullshit line
Yeah.
of thinking, because you created web swingers and shit.
Yeah.
Like you created this.
And he's
this
created
costume.
gadgets before.
Yeah,
you know.
he has a fucking car.
Yeah.
He has the spider mobile or spider buggy or whatever the fuck it's called.
That's true. Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, it's like, dude, like you've made gadgets to defeat your villains and stuff before. Like this is
you have other suits.
This is a simple, like, quality of life, like invention that allows you to not run yourself ragged but still keep an eye on the city.
Yes,
and
it's
stuff like that.
If you could do that, you'd be able to take care of the city so much more efficient.
Yes. And so, like, while I get it, this is all supposed to show how better Otto is as a Spider-Man and stuff, because from this point on, Spider-Man uses, like I said, a lot of the new Spider-Man's like base is from all the shit Otto did as Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like the status quo has now been, I'm a raggedy, like I'm piecemealing together inventions and stuff to like now I have all this tech for myself now.
Yeah.
All because of Otto. It's not because of himself.
So yeah, they go on their fucking date montage.
Yeah, date montage where every night Otto's trying to
get some.
He's trying to get some. He's trying to get laid with MJ and stuff, and he's doing like some very cheesy and classic like dating maneuvers, like the yawn and stretch. They go to the planetarium and stuff like that, and she'll just give him a peck on the cheek every night. And basically Spider-Man's like, thank fucking God, I don't have to sit here and watch one of my biggest rivals and enemies bang my fucking like ex-girlfriend, my
ex-fiance,
my true love, like all this shit, which I'm so glad they didn't fucking do. But yeah, so it's just this dating montage and stuff like that, and we also are starting to get the inklings of a new villain. Well, not new villain, but someone starting new scheme happening. And as they're like at this club and like dancing and stuff.
Now this is actually MJ's club. She owns.
Yeah, she owns this. It was once Vulture's old hideout.
Yeah,
that she bought and everything like that.
Yeah,
and they're at this club, and he's just like talking. Otto's talking to himself. He's like, I don't understand. I don't understand why none of this is working.
Yeah,
I should be in this woman's pants by now.
Yeah, and it's just not working out.
And he's like, I forgot the secret sauce. I am Spider-Man. And so he takes her up to the roof and like takes her home by like swinging and everything like that. And the thing is this shit would have worked if it was not for the fact that Carly is staying with MJ.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'd invite you in, but I actually have company staying with me. Like, you remember Carly and everything like that. And she's like, so good night and everything. And Ock leaves, swings away, and doesn't even get a peck on the cheek or anything. And
this moment is so creepy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I don't need MJ.
Yeah. I have Parker's memories.
And he says that he's accessing them. It's weird because he talks like they're like virtual reality.
Yeah.
Like he can just live the moment again.
So he relives
like some of the most iconic romance
moments, and obviously when they've slept together. But the thing is when he's remembering these, you're not seeing Peter. You're seeing Doc Ock with his dumbass fucking bowl cut
and his weird ass glasses.
Yeah, and he basically forces himself to have a wet dream about MJ and like relive all that. It is 100% creepy. And he wakes up with the most like devilish smile and everything. Like,
and he even says like, well, I've completed that conquest, on to the next one.
Yes. And it's just
and Force Ghost Peter is like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, enjoy it now because I'm going to make you fucking pay for it.
He's like, I'm going to whoop your ass.
Yeah, I'm going to beat you fucking silly. And it's just like this issue, and he's like hitting on girls. It's like black suit Spider-Man all over in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
he's like walking down the fucking street, shooting the fucking finger guns and everything. It's just so fucking annoying. I hate it so much. Peter's back at the lab. Or Otto's back at the lab, and his spider bots notice a disturbance outside of MJ's club.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it's these little vulture guys.
The Vulturettes.
The Vulturettes that are working for Vulture, Adrian Toomes. Since this was his old hideout, they're actually here to look for something. And MJ's like, this is what I get for fucking buying an ex-villain's lair or whatever, a hideout. So they're tearing the club apart. MJ's trying to fight them off. And Spider-Man gets there, ends up saving MJ because the Vulturettes pick her up, drag her out of the club, and then just drop her.
Yeah.
And he ends up showing up, saves her. And at first, he is going to do the Gwen, where he just webs her and stops her, breaking necks and backs.
Yeah.
And
Peter's like, for the love of God, please do not do that.
He's like, doing that. And so
he does a net.
He does the net. Again, kind of that like, maybe Peter is influencing his thought process a lot more and stuff. Saves MJ. And MJ is like, what are you doing here? And Doc Ock straight up lies. It's like, you're my first stop on my patrol every night. When he wasn't even on patrol, he was using the spider bot.
Yeah.
And I will say, I do like the fact that despite all the creepiness, despite all the cuckery that is happening with Peter right now and MJ, that Doc Ock officially like ends the relationship between MJ
he does
and Peter.
He does at least give sound reasoning to it, where he's like, the reason why we won't work is because of me.
Yes.
Like, it's because I'm Spider-Man. It's because I am going to continue to put you in danger, and I can't have that.
And he's like, this is legit insanity. Like the Far Cry 3 boss quote. They keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, repeating it, and it is literally insane. And he said the only way to break the cycle is to move on.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that.
Yeah.
My only issue is, obviously, at some point, Peter is going to get his fucking body back.
And they're just going to do it again.
And they're just going to be back in the fucking cycle. So it's like, I get it. You know, like, I understand it, but I know it's not going to last. And I think the main reason why they did this is, like, yes, highlight their relationship and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also to, like, distance the character from like MJ and stuff. So there isn't that weird factor and everything like that. I like the moment. I genuinely do. I just know, knowing in the future, MJ and Spider-Man are destined to do this dance forever, just like Lois and Clark, just like fucking Batman and Catwoman. Like, it's always gonna be that dance.
Yeah. The issue is, though, is that at least with
Lois and Clark, they get married and have family.
They have a fucking family. And then Batman, you know, it was good until Tom King ruined it. You know.
But I get your point. Like, and that's why we're kind of sucking the new ultimate version off of Spider-Man, because he actually is, at least for now, able to have a family and be with MJ
and be a superhero.
Because it's like, obviously it can be done.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason, you don't want that for Spider-Man. Now, granted, they've had stints where, like, obviously, but like, I don't even think Lois and Clark have broken up as much as MJ and Spider-Man has.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. So Spider-Man holds the ultimate trophy of, like, really, dude? You can't just move on?
and I get it, because, like, MJ is iconic. The red hair, you know, the high school.
I'm tired of it. I want something different. I'm tired of it. I need him to move on. I need him to get with someone else. I don't give a shit if it's Black Cat. I don't give a shit If it's a fucking X-Men, I don't give a shit who he gets with. He needs to get with someone else.
I agree to an extent. My thing is, like, if you're gonna do the MJ relationship, fucking commit.
Well, they won't, because they believe it makes him old. Because he's married.
He is.
He's
old, dude.
Like, and you can have him be 30 and kids are still going to read Spider-Man.
It's also the fact of, again, that tragedy aspect to Spider-Man. It's all, don't get me wrong, I love Stan Lee. I love him to death. He's great. So, some of my favorite heroes he's done, obviously Spider-Man. I blame Stan Lee because he said Spider-Man goes through the same issues and problems every other person does. Now, what is some of the most relatable things that a person goes through? Breakups and heartbreak. And they think, for whatever reason, they got to keep breaking up MJ and Spider-Man because it's relatable, because it's an everyday man's problem or everyday person's problem.
Well,
so isn't being married and managing your life and stuff like that. Like,
I was going to say, I mean, normal people also don't get bit by radioactive spiders and gain fucking superpowers. Like,
yeah.
I understand the need to make your characters relatable,
but it's still fiction.
It's still fiction, and these aren't real people. Like,
yeah.
Their lives are fantastical by nature. Like, let them just be happy.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for some characters to just be happy.
I just hate the fact that they took Spider-Man and was like, let's make him a tragic character. But he's not.
I don't think he's supposed to be.
He's not supposed to be.
Like, the most tragic he's supposed to get is, my uncle died, and then my girlfriend died.
And it's taught me the responsibility of my powers.
Yeah, like, that should be his pathos right there. Yeah. Not, I fuck up every relationship I have because I decide to do the right thing. It's like, wow, you're really sending a good message that doing the right thing is a bad decision.
Yeah, like, you are getting negatively rewarded for doing
good. Yeah.
So I understand that the message is supposed to be, with great power comes great responsibility, and sometimes when you have to do that responsibility, you
make sacrifices.
You make sacrifices. I get it.
You can have that be a story.
But you can still be a non-tragic
character. You can't have that be the story every time.
And it's been, again, like fucking 800 issues of it.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, in my opinion, is the epitome of the status quo problem.
Mm.
And I hate it. And I'm so passionate about it. Of like, just let this man evolve and become different.
He's definitely one of the central figures of, this is the reason why comic book characters aren't allowed to grow.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I think the main issue is the fact that comic book character stories don't end.
Yes.
Because it's a continuing story. It's a linear story. And that is the main reason, but Spider-Man definitely helps contribute to that, of like, the whole, the big wigs at these companies view growth as becoming old or becoming stale, and that's not what it is.
And you know what, the thing that and this is a problem, we're kind of going off on a tangent here, but I feel it's somewhat worthwhile, is the problem is, and I think we talked about this in a past episode somewhere, stories are good not because they continue forever, but because there is an ending.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Spider-Man, I'm not saying like end him for good.
Yeah.
But end him at a point, and then just pick up and be like, here's our new Spider-Man run. Things are going to be different. The origins might be a little different. This, not massive changes, but you can be like, let us look back on the history of this character. Yeah. What things would be interesting to see in this time period of his life, and like just mix it up instead of just compounding on compounding all the bullshit that happens in these stories because they're running for so long.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's why stories are good, because there's an ending to it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of because we've talked about the MCU quite a bit
Yeah.
on this show. That's kind of why I love, or at least loved, the MCU so much, is because from Iron Man 1 to Endgame, that felt like a complete story, and you
Beginning, middle, and end.
you really got a full arc for all of these characters, and it felt like one really long like TV show essentially, and the ending was very nice, but you don't get that in actual comics.
Yeah, which I think is a travesty.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. Like, this is, I like the comics, I do, but I think you're doing yourself a disservice to the story, to the character, by not having an end to it. I mean, obviously comics are different than like a book, because you can have like hundreds of issues. But if you're only expanding those issues because you keep like going back, like taking back steps after growth, like that's not, like maybe once or twice you can do that, but you can't do that for 800 fucking issues.
No, you can't do that. But
rant over, tangent over. I just feel like it is worthwhile to mention that. But we cut back to after Spider-Man says, like, we need to move on and everything with MJ.
MJ's like, oh, I totally agree with him.
Yeah, like he's right. Like, we have been doing this, and she's explaining it to Carly and everything.
And Carly is like, something ain't right.
Yeah, she's like, we have to change, or I have to. He's already there in a spot where he's changed. And Carly's like, geez, MJ, you're making it sound like Pete's a different person. And then she has a flashback to with Doc Ock where Spider-Man's in his body. Is like, Carly, wait, I can explain. I'm not Doc Ock. I'm Spider-Man. And so Carly is the only one that's kind of like,
this is
something's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's basically the end of issue 2.
Yeah.
Issue 3, we get the spider signal.
I loved it. I thought it was a hilarious, like, because Spider-Man's like criticism to JJ about it made me laugh, because I'm thinking, like, you know what? I never really thought about that, about the bat signal, but it is just a big, like, hey, Batman's about to be in this exact fucking spot here in a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I will say they do a little bit of good foreshadowing here, because Doc Ock ends up throwing one of the like spider bots onto the light, and it like basically turns it off, like destroys it, or not destroys it, but just like kind of short circuits it, and that'll come into play later. But essentially, Spider-Man has this conversation with JJ, and it's back to the same old, like, oh, you're a fucking menace, that kind of bullshit. And then they start talking about like Adrian Toomes and his involvement with the attack on the nightclub and all that shit. And Spidey's like, oh, okay, well, I need your lab for a minute. And he's upgrading the eye lenses on his mask. And Carly is obviously suspicious of him.
Yeah, and she's been told she has to partner up with Spider-Man for this case with the Vulture and everything like that. But he's basically like, I don't need you.
Yeah, and he leaves.
Yeah.
And he's swinging around, and we get this flashback between Doc Ock and Vulture, and he essentially says, like, you know, the other members of the Sinister Six, they were brutes and, you know, muscleheads like Craven and all of them, but you were an intellectual, and you know, we could talk and all that kind of stuff, and you saw that they were friends back in the day.
Yeah.
And then while he's having this flashback, he ends up locating Vulture's hideout, because he can use the lens upgrade that he did to like locate magnetic fields that the Vulture uses for his wings. And he ends up finding this like warehouse. I think it's a warehouse. It's kind of dark, and
it's a lair of vultures.
It's just a lair.
He ends up following the Vulturettes back to Vulture.
Yeah. And he starts fighting these little mini vultures, and he ends up fucking hitting the shit out of one of them, and the helmet falls off of him, and he realizes that it's a child, like an actual like little boy.
Yes.
And it says,
and he even says, I thought you were using like little people.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
He says, which is funny because there is, it's not funny, but there's 2 references of little people in this comic, specifically this arc, which I find very weird. Dan Slott, that's such a weird reference. But either way, it sends Doc Ock into this like trauma PTSD flashback where his father is beating on him.
Yeah, and Peter witnesses. Yeah, because he's in his subconscious.
Yeah, and Doc Ock loses his shit on him, and he says like, "You're using children.
You made me strike a child."
Yeah,
and
which is weird because I didn't know Doc Ock had like a set moral principle about harming children. Because he even talks about in this run, like, I've taken a lot of lives. I've killed a lot of people.
I don't think he's ever killed like children. Obviously, he's definitely like harmed or tried to kill teenagers, and they do make a reference to that in this. Again, I'm saying this, it's all fuzzy. I want to say for the most part in recent years is the most like real backstory we've gotten on Doc Ock. Like he's obviously, like a lot of characters, he's gotten more complex as the things go on, because he is probably hands down one of the most iconic Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would say it's him, Green Goblin, Venom.
Yeah, like
those are the top 3.
He is up there, and so they obviously have put a lot more into him and stuff like that. I can't remember. There probably has been mention of him having an abusive past and stuff like that. I can't remember if that's the case, but with the way Peter's reacting in this, like he is like learning it for the first time, so it could be this is the first
retcon.
Yeah, this is the first like moment we get of like, okay, this is why he ended up the way he is.
Yeah.
But I personally am actually a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, it adds depth.
Even though it's obviously not the same, the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, that whole Doc Ock like story that they did with him, I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And it showed me, because I've always written Doc Ock as just he's the crazy scientist.
Yeah.
It really is like, okay, even the crazy scientist guy can have like a complex character and everything like that. They have not done the same for Vulture. He's just like, all I want is to rob a big bank and have that one big score. That's his whole fucking shtick.
Yeah, that's his whole thing.
And so fucking Otto's pissed.
Oh yeah.
So he is like, I'm a straight up fucking kill you.
I'm going to rid you from this planet.
Yeah. And so he's chasing Tombs down, Vulture down, and Vulture is able to hear really well, and he can tell that the web fluid in his
that's dumb.
He can tell it's running low, so he ends up going like super high in the sky, and Spider-Man gets one last like fucking web on him, and he's holding on and everything. Then Adrian comes around, ends up getting the upper hand on him, and he's about to like either drop him or break his neck, because he knows he's out of web fluid. And as he's getting like choked out, like you said, that call out is of the setup,
the spider bot
on the
spider signal.
Yeah. It starts charging up the spider signal, and literally the eyes on Spider-Man's costume go all black, and Vulture, trying to be funny, is like, are you blacking out on me?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, they're polarizing lenses. And fucking next thing you know, just this beam fucking shoots out of the fucking spider signal.
And fucking Adrian Toomes is blinded for the rest of his life.
And then as they're falling, he just like a WWE like fucking pile driver, launches fucking Vulture.
He should be dead.
Into the spider signal.
Keep in mind, Vulture is not like some of like Spider-Man's
He's not
other
super powered.
He's not super powered.
He just wears a suit.
He has a suit that can let him fly, but he's also not like a vampire, or young.
He's just an old dude.
He's like an
old,
he's like 80 something.
And
he's like an old dude with cancer.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he has cancer too.
Yeah, and in some storylines he's like battling cancer. He should be fucking dead.
Yes. But apparently he's just like got a bunch of broken bones and is like cut and bleeding everywhere and stuff like that. And
Carly basically is like, you're fucking nuts.
like, you have absolutely lost it, because Spider-Man would never do this.
Yeah.
And
they set it up with this weird cliffhanger that she's figured out that there's something wrong with him, and Spider-Man's like, oh no, you're in danger. And that's the end of the issue. But they never follow up on it.
No. They will eventually, obviously not within the first 5 that we've done.
Okay.
But what Peter says is because Otto's like, what do I have to say as Peter to like convince her?
Mm-hmm.
And so he like spouts some stuff off, and he's like, you understand, don't you? And she's like, yes, I do. And it shows Spider-Man, and then Force Ghost Peter. Spider-Man's like, oh, good, you see, like, as in, like, you see the point.
Yeah.
And Ghost Force Spider-Man is like, actually, Otto, I think she does. Like, I think she understands. You aren't.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, though you're semi-correct, because when they're at the lab with Carly, she's, like, getting super, like, suspicious of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Force Ghost Peter's like, be careful, Carly.
Okay.
Like, don't expose yourself or anything like that. Because I think Ghost Peter knows that she's kind of on to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Carly being the only person onto him is one of the saving grace in these first couple issues, because I'm like, at least someone is smart enough to like know he is not acting the same.
Yeah.
If everyone was acting like he was the same fucking person, I would have lost my shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's the end of issue 3.
Issues 4 and 5 are kind of like a 2-parter.
Yes.
And they kind of culminate the end of this first arc, where this whole arc is kind of Doc Ock figuring out what kind of Spider-Man he's going to become or be. And this is kind of the tipping point of the arc, where they reintroduce a character from a previous arc called Massacre.
He's a person who received brain damage.
Yes.
And has no empathy for human life whatsoever.
Yeah, that's his shtick.
Yeah.
And he's essentially like a terrorist.
He's like what I would say, quote unquote, like, not really, like, villain Punisher, but he has no like real code. He just kills to kill. Like you said, he's a terrorist for money, essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
It's not because he has any real ideals. It's just like he'll do awful things for money.
He's a psychopath.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But we start off Spider-Man doing his patrols, and he's saying like how busy things have been and everything like that. He goes and visits Aunt May in her like physical therapy and stuff like that. She is having issues with her leg and walking and stuff. And so with Peter's memories and stuff like that, he and almost like Peter's emotions almost a little bit, he goes back to the lab and starts like making some like mad lad scientist.
Now, I will say, this is one thing I do know about Doc Ock. His relationship with Aunt May is a little bit odd because they did date in the past.
That is true. Yeah.
So like, I can see him still caring for her because of that.
Yeah. And then also being now Peter, he has even more incentive to do something.
It is funny though, because Peter does make a comment of like, first to his MJ, I swear to God, do not touch my hand. You do not want to go down this path.
Incest is not Wincest.
No, it is not.
It is not. But yeah, he goes back to the lab and starts doing some like mad scientist shit. And both Max Modell and I forget the other dude's name.
It's like Uatu.
Yeah.
But like that's also the Watcher's name, so it was kind of weird.
He's like he's got to be like 13 or 14 or
he's
something.
a child prodigy.
Yeah, he's a child prodigy, super fucking smart.
Yeah.
And his like big invention is like facial recognition software and stuff like that,
which comes into play later.
But they both come in and are like calling Peter out for his behavior, like his mad scientist behavior. And he's like, look, I have this thing that can help people walk. I made it just now. My Aunt May is going to be the first human trial.
Yeah, and Max is like, oh, fuck no.
He's like, are you off your fucking rocker, dude? And both of them are like, dude, this is fucked up. And he's like, I am Dr. Peter Parker. You're going to show me some respect. And they're like, and Force Ghost Peter's like, actually, you might want to think about that.
And Max Modell's like, I know your fucking credentials. You never finished college.
You're not a doctor.
And that just sets Otto off.
He like fucking loses it. He takes his fucking invention, like slams it to the fucking ground, and
he's like, this is the one thing I worked hard for.
Yeah, I need my fucking title of doctor. And so he ends up going back to fucking college. But before that, we go to Ravencroft,
which is Arkham Asylum.
Which is, essentially Arkham Asylum. And Massacre is holed up here, and this doctor, what's her name?
Ashley Kafka.
Yeah, Ashley Kafka. She's a side character, reoccurring slightly. I don't remember really anything about her, but she is friends with like Spider-Man. But she goes to check on Massacre, opens up the door to find that the actual guard dead in the padded cell, which she immediately is like, if he's there, then, and then the fucking guard turns out to actually be Massacre, kills the other guard. She's like, I know you have no empathy, so I'm gonna reason with you with logic. You need me if you want to get out of here. You need me alive. And he's like, actually, I don't need you.
And he just kills her.
And he kills her. And so now we're at Peter in college, and we're getting some more of the Spider-Man 3 fucking black suit Spider-Man Peter, where like the girls are like, oh, who's this handsome guy, and all this stuff.
And he's hitting on him.
Yeah, he gets like a girl's number, and Peter's like, dude, you're like 30 something. These girls are way too young for you. Like, please do not get me thrown in jail.
Yeah, for real.
You horny old fucking man. But he gets like basically special preferential treatment
by the dean because in the first adventure with the Sinister Six, the first place he had gone to was Empire State University, and he had saved a bunch of people there. And so
she was like, Spider-Man, you're such a hero, like anything you need.
Yeah.
And then he wrote himself a recommendation letter as
like,
Spider-Man.
Peter's like, that is fucked up. You can't do that.
That is such an abuse of power. What are you fucking doing? And he's like, okay, I don't give a shit. He meets his professor, which turns out to be like an old acquaintance of Otto. So he's like super rude to him and everything.
And he calls him by his nickname and the
schnoz.
The schnoz.
Schnoz.
And the professor's like, I haven't been called that in years. Like he's having like a PTSD.
Yeah, he's having that flashback in Vietnam of just like the wide-eyed 1,000-yard stare. Like, I haven't heard that name in forever.
And he goes, all right, well, just show up to fucking class and be ready.
Yeah, and then he gets a call from the mayor's office, which is JJ, obviously, and he shows up at Ravencroft, and they start talking about Massacre, and J. Jonah Jameson's like getting on Spider-Man. He's like, you promised he wouldn't ever get out. You promised he wouldn't kill anyone again. Like, and Spider-Man's like, I agree, I did promise that. You're right. I need to stop him and put an end to this, and I'm going to. And that's when we find out that Ashley's dead.
Yeah.
And what he did is he took her fucking eyeball out to use on the retinal scanners for the doors and stuff. And while they both say it, they have different meanings. Doc Ock is like, he will never kill again. I'll end this. And Spider-Man's like, no one else dies today. Meaning, like, they could both be seen as meaning the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's also different, like, vibes and tones to how they're saying it. And so he's like, where is Massacre now? And Massacre has taken over this burger joint, and he's just got a machine gun. He's chilling there eating a burger and drinking a drink. And he's like, do you have any, what does he say?
He says, do you have any mocha cola? This is a fizzy cola.
Yeah.
And the worker there is like, Burger Town is a subsidiary of Fizzy Co. We only serve fizzy cola. And he's like,
that's a shame. I'd kill for a fucking mocha cola.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, look, none of you will die because it won't benefit me if I kill you. It's not logical to kill you. As long as no one does anything stupid, I'm going to have you go in the back. And immediately he says that, the cashier hits the silent alarm, and he's like,
you're a fucking idiot.
You just had to do that, didn't you? He fucking kills everybody, shoots them all dead except for this mom and her child. Which I'm like,
thank God.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're coming with me.
I need a hostage.
Yeah.
And that's when Spider-Man shows up to the child prodigy for his facial recognition. He's like, I need it. I know you're not like my biggest fan and stuff. I need your help.
Yeah.
Like, will you let me integrate your facial recognition into my spider bots and stuff? And it takes some convincing, but he eventually gives his software to Spider-Man. Yeah. The child prodigy kid has problem with Spider-Man because of Peter.
Yeah.
Because they know he helped Spider-Man, and with how Peter's been acting and stuff like that, he's like,
something's up.
Something's weird. Like, I'm not really approving of this, but he helps out. Well, the Massacre, he ends up letting the woman and her child go, but he's like, look, you have two options. If you get out here, don't make a scene and just walk east, like, I will let you live.
Yeah. You will never see me again.
You'll never see me again. Or you make a scene and I kill you and a bunch of people. And so she just fucking books it. I'd do the same thing. Anything you fucking say, I'm fucking walking east. I'll walk through a fucking brick wall just going east. I don't care. Leave me the fuck alone.
And we end this issue, and obviously this is just set up for something in the future.
Yes.
But we end this issue with a couple of the straggling Vulturettes, and they're kind of like, oh man, Spider-Man really fucked up Vulture, and we don't really have anywhere else to go. And then that's when they reveal, like, oh, you don't have to follow the Vulture anymore.
You can worry about Spider-Man.
Yeah, you can follow me. And they reveal that the Green Goblin is back and is planning something.
Yeah, because they get spotted by the Spider-Bot, and they see the Spider-Bot, and they're like, oh shit, Spider-Man's gonna show up.
Yeah.
And then you just see a purpled fist beat the shit out of the Spider-Bot.
Yeah.
And goes, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
So fucking Massacre ends up going to the CEO of Burger Town.
Yeah, Fizzico.
Yeah, Fizzico. And is like, hey, because she's worried of all the bad publicity that the Massacre is going to cause their company, and stocks are going to drop and all that.
Because he shot up one of their restaurants.
Yeah, and it's all over the news.
Yeah.
And he ends up going into her apartment and is like, hey, so you've made some bad advertising decisions, and you used iconic American figures to advertise your drinks, which people didn't like because it was like altering their images.
It was like some AI shit before AI conversation.
Yeah, for real. And he was like, well, what if you did that with the other company, but with bad people? And he uses like a Hitler imagery, stuff like that. And he's like, I'll tell you what, you give me fucking money and shit like that, and I'll wear the competitors' clothing and I'll shoot up Times Square.
Yeah,
or like Grand Central Station or something like that. And she just goes along with it.
I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be like corporation evil.
But what choice do you have?
I mean, I don't know. Be like, sure, and then be like, hey, cops.
Yeah,
Massacre was just here, and I told him I'd give him money to shoot up a place. I don't actually want that to happen. Can you do something about that?
In between all this, obviously Peter gets his facial recognition stuff added to his spider bots, so he's keeping a close eye on the streets to see if he can find Massacre. And then we are also introduced to kind of Peter's tutor,
Yes.
who had handed him a card during their first day of class. And this is where I was like, man, this is kind of weird. You made 2 references, Dan. It's a lot about little people, because she ends up being a little person.
Yes. So
dwarfism.
What I remember of this character, I guess this is technically spoilers for the whole run of Superior Spider-Man, but I believe at the end of it, Doc Ock gets a new, younger body.
Mhm.
And that's supposed to explain why he's not ancient anymore, why he's still alive, and everything like that. And she actually becomes Otto's love interest and girlfriend and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Why it's a little person, I don't know. I don't necessarily care.
I don't care either. It was weird that in the same arc,
Back to back
references.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. But
So either way, they have their little study lesson, and you can tell that Otto is
because she's super smart.
Yeah, and he finds her interesting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And as he is, web swinging around, he finds his spider bots find Massacre.
Yep.
And at the same time, Otto figures out that yes, he's holding Grand Central Station hostage,
but he has a reputation.
He has a reputation, and he probably has more hostages somewhere else to kind of divert me. So he lets the police know, send your men in and hold him off for 10 minutes.
And Peter's like, what do you mean 10 minutes? We can get there in 5. But he's also like, actually, I don't know why I've never called the cops.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
Yeah. And Otto uses this new thing that he put into his lenses
to see radio frequency.
Yeah. And he realizes that at this warehouse there are other hostages strapped to bombs and stuff like that. And so he saves them. He is able to make it to Grand Central Station
even though
time.
People have died,
and he starts his fight with Massacre. He ends up saving a child, and Otto's even like, this is inefficient. Saving these people is inefficient. He ends up obviously using his spider sense to dodge bullets, but they're striking other civilians. And finally, he's able to disarm Massacre.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I already saved the other hostages.
He's like, I have hostages. I'm going to blow them up. And he's like, oh, you mean at this location, at this time and place and everything?
Yeah.
He's like,
well, shit.
Oh, fuck.
And then Otto grabs the gun that he was using and shoots him in the arm. And he says, guns are so inefficient. He's like, laser arms.
He's like, I've used all these different kinds of death traps and weapons and stuff, but I always thought guns were just crude
and barbaric. And he gives this, I think it's a pretty cool monologue where he's like, what should I do at this point? Do I web you up and put a cute little note on here that says oh, good job, boys. Take him to Arkham or whatever.
I'll read what he said because I do like it. I think it's worth quoting. So what now? Do I web you up, leave you for the cops with a friendly little note, wait till you break out and kill again, capture you again over and over? How many are dead and dying here? When is it enough? What should I do? Tell me. Which I really emphasize that last little bit because it's he is having that tell me what I'm supposed to do to be the hero that I need to be. Because it's literally 2 different consciousness struggling to figure out what to do next. Because obviously Ghost Peter's no. Yeah. Don't kill him. But I also really do like this because you can compare it to his conversation with MJ about their relationship. It's the cycle. It's the classic argument with Batman and the Joker and should he kill and everything like that.
And I think what's interesting about this moment is it's not Peter giving the answer or the villain giving an answer. It's a civilian who's like, kill him, fucking put an end to him. And at that moment, Massacre is like, oh my God, I feel fear for the first time.
He starts crying. He's like, this is the first emotion I felt in forever.
Yeah. And Peter's like, see, Doc, this is proof that maybe he can change. Maybe we can help him, fix him. And Doc just says to himself, you are who you are. That killer will always be hiding inside you. There is only one solution here. And he blows his fucking brains out.
Yep, he kills him. He shoots him dead.
Yep. And Spider-Man, at this point, the news is there, like the media circus is there, and they've all witnessed it.
Yeah, and like this guy's being interviewed. He's like, I'll tell you what happened. More of us be dead if Spider-Man wasn't there to save us. Neutralize the shooter. J. Jonah Jameson's like, man's a hero. Yeah, he's like, man's a hero and a proud example of how this city, we should have zero tolerance for like violence and stuff. And then it cuts to the Physico CEO or whatever. She's watching this news and she's like, not a single mention of the fucking Mocha-Cola product. Like, this was all for fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And then you just see spider bots like coming down the wall behind her, like a bunch of them.
Yeah, so Otto had figured out that she basically cut a deal with Massacre to like do all this stuff to take the bad publicity away. And Otto is essentially like, you know, you have blood on your home or on your hands. You know, you have made this deal, and you know you thought you were going to get away with it. Well, you're not, because I see right through you. I see everything. And like,
yeah, he's like, either you can tell the authorities or you'll deal with me, as like the spider bots are like closing in on her. And I really also love, like you said, he's like, I see everything in this city, everything. That is my power and my responsibility to watch over and judge you all.
Yeah, and so that's the last line of this arc.
Basically going like, now Doc Ock Spider-Man is essentially like judge, jury, and execution.
Yeah, it's a brother eye type situation, which is interesting because earlier in this issue or arc, when he asked that child prodigy scientist, like, can I have your facial recognition for my spider bots? And he was like, that doesn't feel right. And he's like, it's not Big Brother.
He's like, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think I'm going to do with this?
And now he is going to use it for his own, you know, schemes. And that is the end of the first arc of Superior Spider-Man. And I do think it's a cool ending note.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh shit, like that's a shocker.
It is very much a shocker.
I wish I had not known about that scene beforehand, because that's the only thing I knew about Superior Spider-Man, really.
Is that he killed
someone.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that would have been a nice little like, oh shit.
I remember it coming out and a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have people who are very much like, that's not Spider-Man. He should never kill.
Well, yeah, it's not Spider-Man.
And that would be like the counter argument, and other people being like, I really like it and stuff like that. I enjoy Superior Spider-Man. Honestly, a lot of my problems with it is more just because of the context and overall state of Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, of course.
More than it is the story itself.
Yeah.
I think the story itself is very solid and like entertaining. Now, granted, I don't need the pervy Doc Ock moments.
Yeah,
with, like
that's
MJ and stuff.
Now.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's over really quickly and stuff like that, but it was not really necessary other than to like stick a middle finger to Peter, essentially.
Yeah. And to readers who have been clamoring for them to get back together for decades.
And like actually have like a normal relationship.
Yeah.
Because if anything, this comic also shows that it is possible for MJ and Peter to have a decent relationship and him be Spider-Man, hence the whole like Spider-Bot invention and stuff like that. Like, you know, but that all aside, again, that's more critique and problems with the Spider-Man comics in general, more than it is this particular comic.
Yeah.
I think it's fun, entertaining. This first arc leaves you on a note. While there's not a whole lot of setup for more stuff to come,
besides the Green
Goblin thing. Again, it's been forever since I've read it, so I don't remember all the issues and everything that happens on here. I think Superior Spider-Man is definitely one of the better Spider-Man stories.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I had fun with this. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, it's not like thought-provoking in any way, but it is really fun, and it does leave me on a cliffhanger that made me go like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, see where they take it.
Yeah, but I can also see your criticisms of like some of the decisions they make in the story are kind of like dumb in a sense. Like they're dumb for the sake of progressing the narrative, but also like it's dumb that Peter only matures and evolves and his status quo is changed due to other people, not himself.
Yeah.
Which is, again, not great writing.
No, it's not. And part of me does feel like Superior Spider-Man, while it is written pretty well, it was definitely a lot of it was like kind of like a shock value thing as well. And then they kind of wrote themselves into this.
Yeah.
Because like they probably wanted that shock value of like, holy shit. That Spider-Man, Peter's dead in Doc Ock's body. Like, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, who's going to be the new Spider-Man?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, shit. Oh, we got to follow this up with something.
Oh, like Doc Ock has to be Spider-Man now. And Doc Ock's like not a good person.
No, he's
so
not.
we have to now write a story about a terrible person in Peter's body.
And it is kind of hand-wavy of him. Like, well, he's got all of Peter's memories, so he understands his mission statement. I'm sorry, if I got someone else's memories, but I'm like Doc Ock is so staunch in his own beliefs, so intellectual, I don't think that would have persuaded him.
I don't think so either.
You know?
Because, like, again, and this has been his mortal enemy for decades. Like, obviously, in real world time, fucking 60 years.
Yeah.
In comic book time,
still,
like 15 years.
Still a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of conflicts.
And I don't know. To me, I think I'd be more pissed off figuring out that a high schooler was kicking my ass. So,
yeah.
Which is something that happens with Civil War when Peter reveals his identity to the world. Kingpin's like, you're telling me a 15-year-old was whooping my ass?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Kill him and his family.
I will say, I believe Doc Ock is one of the few villains that knew Peter's identity even before this.
Oh, yeah.
And still, again, it's been forever. I'll keep prefacing what I'm about to say. I say it as fact. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he already has known Peter's identity multiple times throughout Amazing Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like, because of retcons or multiversal things or whatever, like there's been times where he's forgotten. Obviously, the whole thing where with Civil War, when he's trying to fix him revealing his identity, that also involves Doc Ock not remembering who he is and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think Doc Ock he's one of those ones where like he was pissed when he found out a 15-year-old kid was like beating the shit out of him, but over time he's like respected Peter and stuff like that, even though he disagrees with him. Obviously different variations and versions of the characters feel differently and stuff, because like Ultimate Spider-Man version of Doc Ock is just fucking batshit insane.
Yeah, and we're talking about the original.
Or the original Michael.
Yeah,
Bendis's version.
Yeah, because I don't believe Doc Ock is in.
He's blind in that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in Bendis's Ultimate, he's blind.
Oh, okay.
And he sees through like his fucking arms and shit.
Oh, that's right, because they reveal he's a mutant in that one.
Yeah,
he has an X gene.
It's weird.
Yeah, he's essentially like Magneto, where like he can control metal.
He has like the telekinesis kind of.
Yeah,
it's metal, but it's like certain metals.
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's weird. Yeah, it's strange.
It's dumb. That's what it is. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah. So I mean, Superior Spider-Man is one of those ones you're always going to hear people recommend you read and stuff like that. But it's definitely one of those ones where I think like maybe you want to read some of the other stories first, and then dive into this.
Yeah.
Because it does take quite a bit of like
backstory.
Not to, obviously you can piece together what has happened.
Yeah.
But it's just such a left turn moment in Spider-Man's history. And he's had a fucking lot of them.
Yeah.
But it's just another one. So it's like, you might want to read maybe some other stories.
Yeah.
Just be familiar with the characters. Be familiar with Spider-Man's history.
You're kind of getting thrown into the thick of it. With
like
the story.
It's like me being thrown into Superman, House of Brainiac.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like there's a lot of history that has led up to this point, and if you're kind of unaware of the history, you're gonna be kind of left like, okay, like I think I understand like these characters, what's going on, everything like that. And so it's better to maybe read some other stories, get some more history under your belt of the character before diving into this, because it is also supposed to be like a subjective take on Spider-Man, considering he is not Peter, it's Otto Octavius. So you are seeing a version of Spider-Man that is not normal. It is a subjective take on Spider-Man because someone else is at the wheel. So maybe if you want to get some more out of Superior Spider-Man, you're better off also reading more regular Amazing Spider-Man and stuff and getting that kind of like comparison and conflict and moral conflict and stuff like that. But all in all, that's all I have really left to say on that, to be honest.
I think that's a very good ending note on that. I definitely will say read it if you just want a fun little story. Obviously, we only covered the first arc of this. This is a 30-plus issue run that has a full beginning, middle, and end. It's just something that we wanted to cover for this episode, this special episode of the podcast. And maybe we'll come back and we'll revisit Ultimate Spider-Man. Or not Ultimate Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man. We will cover Ultimate Spider-Man eventually. Don't worry.
We will cover more Spider-Man, but I've purposely have told like, hey, hold off. We can keep Spider-Man on the back burner. Like I'm not in a super rush. To like reread some of those awful arcs.
Oh, we'll definitely get to them. I think I want to save some of the bad stuff for special episodes, but we'll find out. We'll figure that out. We're still pretty young in our podcasting career. So I don't think I really have anything left to add.
Other than thank you for those who have subscribed and liked or commented or even bothered to check us out. Again, this is going to be our 1-year anniversary episode. While it is somewhat still status quo for us, coming back full circle, this is an important milestone for us, and we're super appreciative of first of all, of each other for sticking it out.
For real.
And doing this, because we have lives,
very busy schedules,
busy schedules and stuff. So it is sometimes difficult to meet up and record. But we are still fully committed to wanting to do this and have fun and hang out with each other, and hopefully maybe hang out with more people listening to us. And stuff like that. And we're just super appreciative of those who have decided to take a leap of faith and get in on the ground floor of a possible investment with us.
And I am very excited to see what we can still do with this show, this channel. Obviously we've been talking behind the scenes about stuff that we want to add and do to the show. And, by the time this episode comes out, maybe we've already kind of implemented a couple of those things. I don't want to say anything just yet. But, we've talked to each other about it. I have reached out to individuals to work on some stuff with us. And I am also trying to increase my knowledge on how to do certain things for the channel and, editing and all that stuff. And Mason's also working on his end to really, help us get out there and I guess advertise better and advertise more. But we want to take this one step at a time and improve just a little bit every episode, and for everyone who joins for those improvements and enjoys the episodes and is interested in the stories and has feedback, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I can say. And, just keep at it. keep listening, because we've got plenty of stories, let me tell you.
And the thing is also like, we are also wanting to revisit stories and stuff, like, because we've covered only first couple issues of a run. Yeah. And it's like, we want to go back. Like, I know for me, Venom is one of the ones I want to go back to.
Definitely. I've been looking at Venom for a minute, and I think we will come back to Venom soon.
Yeah. and like, there's, because what we also want to do is invite people to read these stories themselves. Yeah. Like, we want to introduce you an arc or a first couple issues, and maybe intrigue you enough to want to
seek it out
and seek it and read it for yourself.
And then, once you've done that, maybe we'll come back to it as well, and we'll cover an episode, or we'll cover an arc that you've read, and now you're like, oh, well, I've read it, so now I want to see their opinion on it.
And also hoping that, if you see our thumbnail and see what we're reading, you will be like, oh, before I watch this, I'm going to go read this for myself. Because we want people to form their own opinions on these stories and stuff like that. Like, we're just two nerdy guys talking shit, and joking around and just hanging out with each other. We are not by any means experts.
Oh, no. No. I might have a lot of knowledge about comic books, but I'm not an expert in comic books.
And I am far from even remotely being like an amateur with comics, to be honest with you. But yeah, so we just are having fun. Yeah. That's all it really is.
So, but I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to outro us out?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for listening to Comics with Friends, the bi-weekly podcast where two best buds get together and talk about comics, what we like, what we didn't like, and tell some jokes along the way. And now that that's out of the way, I hope everyone has a good month, a good week, a good day. Whenever you are listening to this, have a great time, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bring me more pictures of Spider-Man!